Hello. This week I'm going to take another look at enlightenment. And this time it's enlightenment as acceptance of what is. There's different ways of approaching the same topic, enlightenment. So when various people talk about it, myself included, it seems to me that we're always pointing at the same thing, but there are different ways of looking at it. So acceptance of what is today's approach, if you like. I'm still trying to get my head around it because it really only struck me strongly this week that this is actually right. I've heard it before, but I only really got it this week, I suppose. So the idea is that you take these issues that are bothering you, that make your verbal mind go round and round in circles for years and years in most cases, and you just accept that this issue, as it were, is simply a fact, and you're never going to fix it with your verbal mind. That doesn't mean it won't fix or be fixed, but as an issue for you, you essentially drop it. For you as in the ego self, right? Your mind. We habitually grumble to ourselves about various things. I'll go through a few examples. Over and over and over. Try to solve them, stress ourselves about them, don't get anywhere, try solutions that are unsatisfactory, that cause us to suffer, and we're like a dog with a bone, we will not let go, right? So it's all about letting go. Admitting you're never going to solve certain things and letting them go. And in the letting go, you find that really they're only an issue because you're thinking about them. They disappear. I mean, the situation stays the same, but it's not a problem if you don't think of it as a problem. It just is, right? Whatever it is. So you might think, but what about? What was that song? But what about? Reason to be Cheerful, that was it, by Ian Dury and the Blockheads, I remember. Part 3, I think. When your verbal mind is not running around in circles, when you've finally admitted it is not going to solve the problem, your subconscious mind has more ability to work on it anyway. There seems to be like some feature that your conscious mind, or your, let's not call it the conscious mind, the verbal mind, has to let go of certain things so that other parts of your brain can work on them. It's like it's a piece of data, and it can either be worked on here or it can be worked on by the larger sections over there somewhere in the unconscious, out of the picture, right? This is why you might be taking a shower one day and bingo, the answer just arrives out of nowhere. And a lot of things are fixed in that kind of way. You're out for a walk, or you're, I don't know, eating or doing something else. Your mind, your verbal mind, is essentially silent or drifting, and you're semi-asleep possibly, and wallop. There's the answer. The big example in science is Kekule, who found the structure of the benzene molecule while he was drifting off to sleep and gazing at the fireplace, at the fire in the fireplace there. And suddenly he saw an image of a snake consuming its tail, the Ouroboros, the snake that bites its own tail in a circle, and he realised benzene is a ring. And there are lots of examples of that. And I think we've all had ideas occur to us while we're not really thinking about them. And that's the point. The rest of your brain can get to work on it when you are reasonably silent, verbally, in your mind. And the rest of your brain knows what you want and what you need. Anyway. It's kind of a mistake to assume we have voluntary control over all this. We're an observer, we're a conscious observer, and what happens, happens in our minds and elsewhere. We have some kind of executive programming input. I don't know what it is, but obviously we have some sort of ability to reprogram ourselves to some degree, and doing these techniques, accepting what is and so on, learning to quieten the verbal mind is part of this limited ability that we have. Whether that comes from involuntary functions as well, I don't know. But, knowing it or not, we can do it. So, when you've given up on an issue, the ideas may occur to you anyway, and the situation will maybe change anyway due to the natural course of random events and stuff like that. If you like, the guide to right action will appear when the time is right. From your higher self, from the rest of your brain, your unconscious mind, God, the universe, whatever. Okay. Whatever is out there that does these things outside our conscious awareness. Okay. Lots of stuff happens, right? So, let's think of some actual concrete examples. What can we accept? Okay, a common one. I do not fit in, right? A lot of people stress themselves out because they feel they don't fit in. And they're acting nice, or they're trying to impress people all the time because they're faking it. They feel that they don't fit in, but they're faking it, and they're desperately afraid that they're going to be found out. Okay, so they fake it, fake it, fake it. So, get rid of all that stress. Simply accept, I do not fit in. Just accept it. I do not fit in. I will never fit in. Right? I do not fit in at all. When you get that, not accepting it, yeah, it's a problem. Accept it as a fact. Okay, I do not fit in. That's the way it is. That's the way it's going to be. Fine. Your mind can throw away an entire complex of thought patterns based on dealing with that issue, because you've let it go, right? Okay, it's I don't fit in. So what, right? You realise quickly that nobody fits in, because we're all different. The majority of people are faking it. A few people don't care, and they don't have to worry about it. And if you accept it as a fact, you don't care, right? And you will fit in better, because you're not faking it, you're being authentic now. The people who don't like you can go stuff themselves, right? And the people that do, well, fantastic. You're fitting in by not worrying about it. Actually, there's a whole class of Mr. Nice guys who are terrified that they'll never get a girlfriend unless they're nice. I guess women fake it as well. But certainly in the case of, like, the nice guy, okay, we all know that the girls don't really go for the nice guys, okay? In the sense of nice as in syrupy, accommodating, too eager to please, weak, no will of their own. That's sort of nice because they're desperate to be accepted. They're faking it too much. The women can feel the inauthenticity there. And if a woman doesn't trust a guy, she's not going to feel safe with him no matter how syrupy he is. And she's not going to go for it. Right? She'll go for somebody who's nastier but authentic. Right? So, if that's you, just say, okay, I am never going to get a girlfriend. Right? That's it. It doesn't mean you never will. It will happen naturally without you trying to fake it. But the idea is you give up your will on the issue. You just stop worrying at that bone. Right? I'm never going to get a girlfriend again. Or at all. Right? I'm never going to. It's just a fact. I can relax about it. I don't need to stress about it. I don't need to do anything. Right. You may have been coming at it from another angle. You might have been stressing, oh, what can I do? I can't get a girlfriend. I'm thinking about men because I'm a man. Okay. Similar things must apply to women, I guess, in different ways. And you think about it logically. Okay, the logical solution is get out more. Right. Okay. No girlfriend, get out there. But typically you'll meet another obstacle right away. I don't want to get out there. Right? I'm okay here. And you go out anyway, you force yourself to go out, and it doesn't work because you don't enjoy yourself. You're faking it anyway, and it's all a stress. And you say stupid things because your mind is blocking you, thinking rubbish. Okay. So, again, this is where dropping it, just forget the whole thing, right? Accept, okay, no girlfriend. That's it. The heck with it. You're relaxed. You'll meet people at random anyway in life, so stuff can happen. And because you're relaxed and not bothered with it, that's when it happens. Okay? If it's going to, maybe it won't. Accept that it won't. That's your role. Not to make it not happen, but simply to accept that it's not happening. And not try to change that consciously. Just relax. Okay. I can't solve this issue. It's a fact. Fine. So be it. I'll let it go. Some issues are hard to let go, but keep at it. Let it go. And you will find it becomes a non-issue because you're not worrying about it. And certainly in these examples that I've given, it's the kind of thing which kind of thinking about it makes it worse. As far as not fitting in is concerned, I found that that was easy to drop because I'm not that concerned about it, I think. Don't know. I think at my age one gets used to how one is and doesn't worry about fitting in so much anyway. But this would benefit younger people a lot because they do worry about not fitting in. And it's a mistake. It comes from infancy, where an infant really needs to fit in. They've got to survive. Their instincts make them try to fit in and please the parents or guardians or whatever. The trouble is they grow up also trying to fit in because it's a habit, and that's where it's a mistake. They can survive by themselves now. They don't need to fit in that way. They don't need to change themselves or distort themselves to fit in. But there you go. For me, I found it difficult to accept my divorce Okay, I'm divorced. It still bugs me a bit, but I mean, it's what, 2 years now. It's in the past. It's history. So that was a little difficult to accept. Yeah, I'm divorced. I'm never going to marry again. I mean, I might, but the acceptance thing is just take it as total fact, right? It's never going to happen. It's not going to reverse. It is what it is. I can't solve all the issues. Thinking about them doesn't change it. Couldn't change it at the time. Can't change it afterwards. Drop it. No point in thinking about it anymore. Just accept it as it is. That's it. But even more difficult than that for me to accept. Turns out the most difficult thing of all for me to accept, I think, was that I have to go to work every day. Except at the weekends. And I mean, my job is okay. It's not that I don't like it or dislike it. It is simply that it's a huge imposition on my time. Right. I mean, 5 days a week, I'm out of the house for like 10 or 11 hours a day, effectively, with travel and everything. So, I mean, yeah, that's a little hard to accept. And I've been trying to figure out in my verbal mind, how can I get out of this? What can I do? How can I win the lottery? You know, anything. I've tried the self-employed bit, but I've discovered that I don't work very well on my own. I'm not that well motivated like that, so it didn't work. It kind of worked a bit, but it was too much of a struggle. When I'm at work, when there's a boss there making you work, well, I work, okay. Even actually without the boss there making me work, when I'm at work, I work. I think because I'm responsible to other people, essentially. It's the way my natural dynamics work. Fine. So, accept that's the way it is. Took me a day or two of re-accepting it again and again to sort of get that. But okay, go to work. It just is what it is. And it's starting to feel like a bit of a relaxed game now, more than a chore. So, good. There are other things: illness, infirmity, disability. You're not going to solve these things by thinking about them. If there's a solution, you'll be able to think about it quickly. You know, you'll have solved it within seconds, minutes, certainly hours or days. If you're going over it for years, you know this is not solvable with the verbal mind, or at least you're not coming up with a solution. So just accept, okay, this is it. Maybe I don't like it. Whatever. It is. Let it go. If there are solutions out there, they'll come to you. Your wider brain, as it were, is now free to work on it anyway, because you're not. So, give it a chance. Relax. Another one, especially important for Western society: I will never be a success. I am a failure. There it is. In my case, my YouTube channel will never be a success. I'm never going to get to 100,000 subscribers and be able to live off the proceeds. It's just not going to happen. Accept it. Just play the game. Don't worry about the outcome. Okay. It can happen, but the point is to accept it as it is. And if it's going to happen, as I said just now, the solution will come to you, or it will happen because it's going to happen. These things are actually out of our hands to some degree. I mean, with the YouTube channel, sure, I could go and commercialise it and all that, and maybe I'll do it bit by bit, I don't know. but I don't feel like it. I don't particularly want to. So it is what it is, right? And yeah, I accept that. And I don't worry about it. I'm not going to think about it anymore. The heck with it, right? I'll just do what I do. People like it or they don't. That's it. So if you're trying to be a success in business or whatever, and you're failing and struggling, just accept it, right? You can use your logical mind to work on practical issues. It's good for that. But when you're going around in circles, know that you are not solving it, and that approach is probably all wrong. Consider accepting what is. Just let it be. As the Beatles said, speaking words of wisdom, let it be, let it be. Right? Just let it go. It will be what it is. And it will probably work better without you fretting. So basically the end result of accepting something is that you chuck out a whole complex of thoughts about stuff. They're just out of your head now. You don't need them anymore. Your mind is quietened. There's a whole bunch of things that you just don't need to fret about or worry yourself about or cause yourself suffering over. These things either are non-issues when you're not thinking about them, or they just are what they are. Or both. So you can end your suffering right away, just like that. It may take a bit of practice to keep re-accepting with difficult issues, okay? Practice it. It doesn't take long if you're diligent with it and keep doing it every time you notice. Just, oh yeah, I'm not going to bother with this anymore. I don't need it, right? It is what it is. I just accept it. You might think, but what about other problems in the world? I mean, I'm worrying about pollution, starvation, crime, all this, okay. Well, you don't know about these things as such. You don't know what the answer is. Your first responsibility is to do actually what Jesus said. Remove the log from your own eye before tackling the splinter in your brother's eye, right? If you don't clear out your own mind, which is the source of most, if not all, of the world's problems, you're going to be tackling those problems from a position of problem. And that's not going to help. The world is in an incredible mess because people are addicted to their egos, to their verbal minds being misused. Civilization would be very, very different. It would be less success-driven, less greed-driven. It would be very different. Probably, if we had always been quiet-minded, enlightened, then we would probably still be Stone Age, or at least, we'd probably be somewhat civilized, but it wouldn't be the mad technological civilization we have at the moment. But now we've got it, we can run with it. Why not? So maybe what we've got has been a good thing, but it's too much of a good thing is destructive, as we're finding. So it's time to go beyond, go above, not below having no mind, like the animals, no verbal mind, but above it, where we've got it and can use it where we need to, but with a sense of perspective about the right use of it. And that's how we'll solve the world's problems, if we're going to. We may not be going to, We don't know. The problems may solve themselves. There's a quote in Civilization 6, I think, a diplomat saying to another diplomat, this is not word for word, but this is the idea. There are two types of diplomatic problems, and I think it probably applies to humans too. There are two types of problems. Huge problems and small problems. Okay. The huge problems, you can't do anything about them. The small problems, they will fix themselves. That's that. Just thought I'd throw that in, but it's kind of like that, okay? The huge problems, you can't do anything about them, accept them, right? You maybe have struggled for years with some of them, just accept them. You're not going to solve them by this method, so just by thinking about them over and over. Let them be. They are. Accept them. All those thoughts can just quieten down. Now, what about your intent to solve these issues then? If you're just going to let them go, but I want to solve it. No. The solution, if you haven't solved it through simple logical thinking in a few minutes, you're probably not going to. Give yourself a year, okay, whatever, a long time, still haven't solved it, stop wasting your time. The intent to solve it, is in fact a source of suffering, isn't it? It's wanting, it's grasping, it's dissatisfaction, it's stress, and it is not getting you to the solution. At a certain point, be realistic and draw the line. You've thought about it enough, and you're not getting anywhere. Let it go. Because of the random nature of life, or if you like, the greater input from the infinite, or whatever it is, when you let it go, stuff can happen sometimes. If it's going to. Here's one. Accept. I will never be enlightened. It's the logical conclusion of what I've been saying. I will never be enlightened. I don't need to think about that. And when your mind is silent, there you are, enlightened. Isn't it bizarre? When you want nothing, there you are, in a state of bliss. Or at least content. People say we're always enlightened, but the thing is to know it without the verbal mind getting in your way. It's a bit of reprogramming of the brain. But if you accept that you can't make yourself be enlightened by thinking about it over and over and over again, the mind can quieten and you're there. Now you have insights, you have ideas, you have a bit of extra understanding about this or that feature of it, as I do, okay? But you don't have to worry about it all the time, because the verbal mind is the obstacle. That ego that it maintains, this idea, I must be enlightened, I must solve it. Nah, just let it go. Get the insights while you're in the shower, right? Bing, oh, it could be this. Ponder it for a while, not long, and then integrate the idea and let it go. Okay. Any questions, comments? I want to hear from you. So, okay, bye for now.